Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. Exploring Nigeria's abundant gas resources comes to the center of discourse, as it's frequently done lately, to amplify the agenda of 2020 as Year of Gas. To attain this, a stable fiscal environment is inevitable, which legislation must play a key role. GMD Mele Kyari reiterated this when legislators came visiting last week. Discussions and commitment from this discourse are on the lineup. And then, two stories of commendation espousing the transparency and accountability of the NNPC, as well as gender management, talking about women inclusion in the AKK project, plus local content. NNPC advocates capacity upgrade for indigenous operators. There's more in the details. It's just ahead. My name is Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
It is time we took our fates in our hands by supporting the government in the complete removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit, otherwise called petrol. Subsidy on petrol benefits the few, facilitates corruption, and stifles national development. The ultimate savings will be deployed to build schools, hospitals, roads, rails, and other infrastructure. Avoid the callings of enemies of progress.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, has said that the absence of a stable fiscal environment is inhibiting the growth of the Nigerian petroleum industry, especially the upstream sector. Malam Kyari, who stated this while playing host to members of the House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream, who were on an oversight visit to the corporation recently, said international investors were losing confidence in the nation's oil and gas industry and tasked the lawmakers to act fast and arrest the situation.
We need to act very quickly to transit from this current unstable situation to a very stable fiscal situation. And there's no other way of doing it today, honorable members and chairman, than for us to get the PIB to work. It has to come on the table, it has to become a law so that countries and investors can plan with us.
The GMD also stated that the drive by the management of NNPC to entrench the culture of transparency in the corporation has improved its business fortunes and credit worthiness, as lenders are now willing to grant credit to it. In his remarks, the chairman of the committee, Honorable Musa Sarki Ada, expressed the readiness of his committee to provide the necessary support for the corporation to discharge its duties without hindrance.
For the information of my colleagues, the TAPE means transparency, accountability, performance, and excellence. I would like to say that has been commendable, and you did very well.
He acknowledged the corporation's effort at deepening transparency and accountability, stressing that the committee was impressed with the level of professionalism exhibited by the NNPC management and the leadership role played by the GMD in rallying the oil and gas industry to provide support for the federal government's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. In a presentation, the managing director of the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, Engineer Mansour Sambo, said the company has increased its gas production to 860 million standard cubic feet of gas per day and is now the largest supplier of gas to the domestic market.
Today, NPDC's gas production has grown in 1 year by actualizing those projects that either were stalled. As of today, we are the largest gas suppliers to the domestic market.
Stakeholders in the downstream sector of the Nigerian oil and gas industry, including the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, have lauded the federal government for the courage to tackle the challenges in the downstream sector frontally. The stakeholders gave the commendation at a downstream stakeholders meeting which held at the NNPC Towers, Abuja. Speaking at the meeting, the president of MOMAN, Mr. Tunji Oyebanji, said the federal government has displayed utmost pragmatism by applying economic solution to the age-long challenges in the downstream rather than the political solution applied in the past, which were not sustainable. He commended the group managing director of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation NNPC, Malam Melekyari, for extending the engagement to the leaders of oil workers' unions who have always been opposed to deregulation and called on them to adopt a different approach to the issue this time around.
This is the first time we have our colleagues from Pegasan and Nupeng as part of this stakeholders discussion. And maybe with hindsight in the past, it has been an oversight. And I think it is something that underlines the style of the GMD.
On her part, the Vice President of Depots and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, Hajia Amina Meina, said the subsidy regime was of no benefit to anyone and commended the GMD for the engagement.
We've always said we support total deregulation because we believe that the funds that have been spent on the subsidies could have been used on other things that directly impact on the lives of every Nigerian.
All the stakeholders present, including the petroleum tanker drivers, PTD, Nupeng, and Pengasan, pledged their support for the efforts of the federal government and NNPC to ensure a viable and sustainable downstream petroleum sector. Speaking earlier, the GMD NNPC Malam Melekyari disclosed that concrete steps have been taken to address the main concerns of marketers, especially the issue of availability of forex, stressing that the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has already taken the first step of merging all forex windows to have a unified exchange rate.
NNPC does not and will not continue to be the sole supplier of PMS. We don't want to do this. It's really not our call. Yes, we are the energy security company for this country, being a national oil company, but it is really not our task to be the 100% supplier of petroleum product. We have taken definite steps to make sure that we exit this situation. And the key issue, as we all know as commercial people here, is the availability of foreign exchange for us, for oil marketing companies to import petroleum product into the country. I can confirm that there's definite steps taken. This will be, I don't have exact date to give, but this will be resolved and I will communicate to the industry so that others can come in and we can exit this monopolistic supply of petroleum product into this market.
In his remarks, the director of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, Mr. Sarki Awalu, who was represented by the agency's Assistant Director Depots, Products and Jetties, Mr. Bashir Sadiq, said government was interested in opening up the downstream sector, adding that the DPR was in support of NNPC's initiatives in the sector.
We are very glad with the initiatives taken by the NNPC as a leader in the industry. We are ready to work with all stakeholders. We are also open to suggestions and any other help that we can render as a regulator to the industry.
The Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC, Engineer Chidi Izua, has commended the leadership of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, for totally driving a transparent bid opening processes for the rehabilitation of NNPC pipelines and its critical downstream infrastructure, noting that NNPC is showing to the world that things could be done correctly in such a manner that could yield value for Nigerians. Engineer Izua said the novel NNPC virtual public bid opening exercise was in line with the RCRC infrastructure revolution drive.
But you're showing to the world that things can be done properly. It will be done to the best interest of everybody. And I want to assure you that as a regulatory agency responsible for public-private partnerships, we are your partner. We are there with you 24/7. And we will ensure that this is done in a transparent, credible manner that yields value for money.
No fewer than 78 companies submitted virtual bids. to rehabilitate critical downstream pipelines, associated depots and terminal infrastructure of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) through the Finance, Build, Operate and Transfer (BOT) model. In his opening remarks, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, stated that the exercise was in fulfillment of NNPC's avowed commitment to transparency and accountability as an Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (EITI) partner company, and as directed by President Muhammadu Buhari, that all its operations must be guided by integrity.
I can confirm to all of you that it is the clear directive of Mr. President that this company must be accountable and must be transparent to its shareholders, and that we must take every necessary step to ensure that our transactions are not to our citizens of this country, that we do things for the common good of all of us.
Earlier, the Chief Operating Officer Downstream, Ms. Laurentia Ndupu, who was represented by the Managing Director of Petroleum Products Marketing Company, Musa Lawan, said the Nigerian Pipelines and Storage Company (NPSC) operates 5,120 kilometers of pipelines, which traverse the entire country with 2 coastal depots in Lagos and Calabar, assuring that every aspect of the public bid process will be carried out transparently.
NPSC operates approximately 5,120 kilometers of pipelines, which traverses the entire country.
On her part, the General Manager, Supply Chain Management, NNPC, Mrs. Sophia Mbakwe, said at the end of the submission of virtual bids, 78 companies submitted bids for the pre-qualification of rehabilitation of NNPC downstream critical pipelines, associated depots, and terminal infrastructure.
Due to the global pandemic on the COVID, as opposed to a physical submission of your tender, that NNPC will be deploying using the Nigerian Petroleum Exchange, which is the NIPEX portal.
The Federal Character Commission (FCC) has applauded the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) for ensuring a high level of gender balance in management positions in the corporation. The Executive Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Muhiba Farida Dankaka, gave the commendation in Abuja during a courtesy visit by the management of the NNPC, led by the Group Managing Director, Malam Mele Kyari. The FCC boss also congratulated the NNPC on the recent flag-off of the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline project. Dr. Dankaka, who informed that her commission's mandate extends to equitable distribution of social and infrastructural amenities, said the AKK project was one that could boost the nation's economy and well-being of Nigerians.
I wish to commend the NNPC for the AKK gas pipeline project. This is the most single project in recent time that will no doubt impact positively on the economic well-being of the country.
The FCC boss also disclosed that the recent recruitment by NNPC was transparent and ensured equal opportunity for all Nigerians, adding that the corporation fully complied with FCC guidelines in the exercise. In his remarks, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, stated that the National Oil Company, as a responsible corporate entity, has always provided a level playing field for all, thereby granting equal employment opportunity to Nigerians from all classes and backgrounds.
We know that being inclusive, is good for business. It makes you deliver on your tax. And more importantly, there will be a sense of collective ownership of the business. And this has worked for NNPC over its history. And our senior management structure is reflective of that. You have at least one person from each geopolitical zone in the most senior management of this company.
In order to achieve the target of reducing the cost of oil production in Nigeria on a sustainable basis, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) says indigenous companies operating in the nation's oil and gas sector must upscale their capacity for global competitiveness. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, stated this recently at a virtual stakeholders consultative summit organized by the Senate Committee on Local Content. The NNPC GMD said that there was need to amend the Local Content Act to reflect current realities in the industry. The NNPC boss, who was represented by the Group General Manager, Corporate Planning and Strategy, Mrs. Eyesa Orishemeyiwa, argued that there was need to have a legislation to resolve the issues of funding challenges faced by local players, stressing that oil and gas business required high technical skills and competence to compete favorably at the global stage.
In terms of the interaction between industry and education, we think this new bill has repositioned a good model that we should work with. There is no gainsaying that your people are your greatest asset. You might bring in the best brains in the industry. As long as you are not getting good replacements from your educational sector, then your industries will collapse.
He hailed the National Assembly's initiative to review and amend the Local Content Act and urged the committee to ensure that it is carried out in a timely fashion in order for the law to deliver maximum value for the nation. The GMD commended the legislators for the plan to extend the local content law beyond the oil and gas industry to other sectors of the nation's economy, stressing that it would open up the non-oil sectors to growth and development.
Hello and welcome to the feedback segment of the program. I am Faith Ayuba. The Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB, is one legislation that seeks to overhaul the entire oil and gas firmament and provide a win-win scenario for all stakeholders. On this segment, we sought to find out from Nigerians their expectations about the Petroleum Industry Bill that is being transmitted to the National Assembly by the federal government.
And the National Assembly, they're kind of harmony. We want to believe that they will take proper care of whatsoever needs to be done to put the thing in proper perspective, so that once it gets to the National Assembly, they will speedily process it and pass it. And then we believe that the presidency should be able, the whole of this thing, to some of us, expect that before this year runs out, that bill should come out as a law.
What I expect is transparency and accountability of the proceedings in oil and gas sector, and obviously if the investors come in, there will be like more jobs for youth.
And we expect that when it's passed, we'll begin to get the dividends of being an oil producing country. There are lots of benefits. The benefits are enormous. From the price of the products to people benefiting in Niger Delta to the country benefiting.
If this bill is passed, it will surely promote the image of the industry. It will create job opportunity.
It's going to open room for more jobs. And as a matter of fact, if we have more foreign investors in the country, so many people are going to benefit directly and indirectly. So many people. Transporters, so many people, even businessmen, even me too, I'm going to benefit.
So the PIB, by my own opinion, will at least change the narrative in the oil and gas sector. It will at least address so many issues. You understand? It will help us bring out some of those things that will make it easy for us to experience what we call transparency, accountability in the industry.
I expect that in this new PIB, the host communities should be taken care of. There should be provisions that get them involved. And also because I'm from the area and I know what the environment is, there should be provisions in the law that secures the environment.
The PIB, when passed, will streamline the governance, administrative, fiscal and host communities area of concern for the Nigerian petroleum sector. It is one bill that will attract massive investment into the nation's oil and gas sector. That's the much time will permit us for this segment. Did you know segment is next.
Hello and welcome to this educative segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojobo. Did you know that natural gas, also known as fossil gas, or sometimes just gas, is a non-renewable natural hydrocarbon? Natural gas mixture consists primarily of methane, alkanes, and other compounds like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen sulfide, or helium. Did you know that there are two primary sources of gas: associated gas and non-associated gas? Associated gas is also known as wet gas, and it is gas produced as a byproduct in the process of crude oil production. Did you also know that associated gas reserves are typically developed for the production of crude oil? Now you know. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices dropped by concerns that United States economic recovery is slowing as the coronavirus outbreak lingers, while a renewed wave of COVID-19 cases in Europe have led to reimposed travel restrictions in several countries. Brent crude futures dropped 34 cents or 0.8% to $41.43 per barrel, while United States West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures fell 37 cents or 0.9% to $39.56 per barrel. Both benchmarks climbed slightly during the week after government data showed United States crude and fuel stockpiles dropped last week. Gasoline inventories fell more than expected, sliding by 4 million barrels, and distillate stockpiles posted a surprise drawdown of 3.4 million barrels. Meanwhile, Market Intelligence Department of the NNPC's London office reports that the November Brent contract gained a mere 5 cents and settled at $41.77 per barrel, well below its day high of $42.62 per barrel. It added that the mood on oil markets have been slightly more buoyant so far this week than last, partly held by hopes that the recent weather disruptions in the United States Gulf of Mexico would help tighten inventories. A constructive report from the United States Energy Information Administration (EIA) met those expectations, showing multiple draws across the board for the week ended September 18. A 1.6 million barrels per day decrease in crude oil stocks to 494.4 million barrels per day dovetailed withdrawals in gasoline and middle distillate inventories. Gasoline fell by 4.0 million barrels per day to 227.5 million barrels per day, while distillates shed 3.4 million barrels per day to 175.9 million barrels per day. Refinery runs were down 1 percentage point to 74.8%, bringing United States refining throughputs to 13.4 million barrels per day. And that's it on this segment of the program. I am Owigo Okolo.
Behind screams and tears of pain in some communities, there is a terrible act of pipeline vandalism, which causes fire outbreak and takes innocent lives. Pipeline vandalism also pollutes our waters and the fish we eat. Please join us to save lives and stop this crime. Warn or report those who vandalize our pipelines. The law will deal with them. NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
That's about the size of Oil and Gas Forum for this edition. Thanks for joining us. Icing on the cake and expectations have to do with the PIB passage. The whole world is practically waiting for all the benefits that will accrue from that. In the meantime, enjoy your week. Bye.